Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals? Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal, making a direct detective run around all day while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give you this if there was a break in today's trial. I'm a big fan of this picture right here, brother. Why is it a little detective chicken? Evidence law. Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. Yes, we remember. Yes. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need this book. Him. I guess I'll have to give this book a thorough read. Okay. Let's consult the book. Jesus fucking Christ. Thorough read to... There's 1 page. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Okay. I see. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What is there left to do? Your credibility's all been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You gotta be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. That's just like every fucking case, though, dude. You know? Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses? I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone's been talking, and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, not strictly speaking, if we happened to call one of the people that you had already struck a bargain with, then it wouldn't really change anything about the situation, but, you know, irrelevant, because that's not what's happening. What do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth's found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright? You do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, the trial is as good as over. The defense calls, the time has finally come to bring out the real murderer. Bam. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand.
Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything?
As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor?
True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand.
Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh?
Please, Mr. Gant.
Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto, what's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave, or very foolish. You are aware of the course that the police chief has... You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Your Honor, the witness is threatening me? Weapons? Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true?
I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify.
Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you.
Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony.
As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery.
Is that when Dark was arrested?
Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head.
I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut.
If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I better hit him hard and fast. I'm guessing the risk... Because Edgeworth's saying there's a risk with refusing to testify, it's probably that he forfeits the right to testify again, right? Like if he refuses to testify, he has to just refuse to testify. He can't go half and half on it. Whatever. As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant Lana Skye also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. So the two of you ran immediately after him, right? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first, so Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that. The elevator stopped all of a sudden and I caught the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil when that knife went into his heart, though. That's not funny. Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying on a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor. Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Yes, thank you, Phoenix. Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known what her sister had done. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body. It had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk. That's right. I think you said earlier it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor. Yes. Anyway. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office? That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you'd better off staring at the court record. Worthy, always the smooth talker. But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow I've got to link Gant to the incident. Well, there's the fact we found evidence in his safe, right? So do I do that? Found in Gant's desk. Found in Chief Gant's safe. I don't really want to present the thing that has Emma's fingerprints on it if I can avoid it, but this was also found in Gant's desk, which sort of implies a link, doesn't it? You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this list, for example.
Oh, that's the list Emma Skye drew on her picture on.
This was discovered in your desk. Yes, I stole this, by the way. Please don't bring that up. Not only that, but a piece of this jar that was sitting in your office was found inside your safe.
It was found where?
You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation.
Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this?
Oh! Here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery. Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. Huh. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Didn't he get fired?
Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office, and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene.
My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way.
Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor.
When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol.
You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Oh, Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again.
My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that?
Your Honor, the witness is continuing to threaten me.
Today is, well, you know.
All right, Haji. In return, though.
I know that place, right?
Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? So... I'd appreciate it if you'd stop making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped.
Mr. Wright, what are you saying?
Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry in the evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when Wrighto's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, that would prove his investigation was illegal. I never faced anyone as slimy as this guy. Oh, whoops. What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course, but suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing evidence found at the crime scene isn't forgery, I'm not through speaking yet, Wrighto. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation? It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. For all we know, it could have suddenly materialized the day after Dark was sentenced. Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right. The Chief is talking about a possibility. So long as you can't rule it out, your remarks, however clever they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Strange how that's only ever the case when we're making a point, isn't it? Never seems as if the prosecution has to defend its wild hypotheticals. Tell me something I don't know. Come now, Wrighto. Think about it. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. How can you look me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil?
I'm not sure I care for the word murder here, but in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye.
Well, now do you see? Really, Chief Gant. At the very least, there is one very large benefit you reaped from all this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would be, of course, the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh. The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway. Yeah. Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Haji, would you mind if I changed my testimony a little?
By all means, please do.
I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though.
Oh, that's a good one, Worthy.
Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? I mean... Point out accomplice? Who, though? You know, it seems like it has to be point out an accomplice, but I'm not really sure what the end goal of that is, because... you know... What am I going to say his accomplice was himself, you know? I don't know, man. Maybe something will come to me. True, you might not help anyone out for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone.
Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to betray the chief. As a nice man who likes to lend people a hand.
That's not what I mean.
Very well, then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence?
Well, the two possibilities are just him and Lana. So, it's not any of these other people, is it? So I guess I'm just gonna have to say Lana.
Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye, the defendant?
I believe it's quite obvious in light of circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit.
Self-profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed to Chief Prosecutor. Of course, can have both of the offices. Of course, that's the reason. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant.
But how would he profit from all of this?
He would be able to use the Chief Prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
Do you mean to tell me that despite the Chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets?
Yes, that's exactly what we're saying, Your Honor, yes.
Oh, wait! You must mean puppet, as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind.
Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive to appoint her as Chief Prosecutor so you could control her. Right, oh my boy, you have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana? She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant.
I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture.
Unless... that is also what happened in this incident.
This incident? Which one would that be?
There have been a few incidents. Of course, I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The Chief Prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Your Honor, the witness is continuing to threaten people.
Just what do you mean?
What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement.
What? Order, order, order. I said order. Mr. Wright, you can't be serious.
Huh?
This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency.
This is a little out of nowhere, but I think I know how we're gonna get him in the end at this point. I can't help but notice throughout all of this we at no point have brought up this, which we also found in Gant's safe. So I suspect this is how we're gonna get him on concealing evidence, is we're gonna sort of trick him into admitting that this cloth exists, ergo he must have forged it if he knew it existed without us presenting it. You get what I mean? Because we can't really prove when the evidence was there, but if he knew about something we had without us showing it to him, then that proves what happened. I think that's how we're gonna get him in the end.
To accuse the chief police of blackmail and murder? That, impossible.
Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier-to-understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this.
Can you prove this, Mr. Wright, that the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder?
Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell.
I see. All right, then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us the evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman.
It has to be the list of, people going through the door, right? Because we know this is his now.
This is the ID card list.
Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 77777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that that's my card number. It's your number.
What? How do you know?
The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code.
7 digits? You don't mean...
I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime.
Order, order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say?
Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card.
Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime?
What about it? I'm the chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me. When you entered the evidence room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I haven't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days, Chief Gant? I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman.
What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt.
No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting?
In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime.
Fuck. What's the evidence for that? Fuck. Ah. Ah. Is it the ID card list again? Because we can account for all the other times Bruce died in the evidence room. But we know that this instance of him using his card isn't him. So he has to have gotten in the evidence room some other time. Which must have been with Gant. Right? Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Okay. There's something more solid. Fuck, what is it? Something more solid. Ah. Ah. Can only be submitted to the Chief of Police. Yes, it's this. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day.
He needed to?
Yes, to transfer the evidence out.
Oh.
Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly.
But wait! The Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card.
Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I... Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was used only once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. No, oh my god.
Chief Gant, you didn't.
The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office's parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space.
How could the Chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence.
To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. He did it with Edgeworth's car. So do I do the parking stub? Or the screwdriver? Do we have the screwdriver that Edgeworth transported? Yes. This is probably the more important part. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body.
What's that? A screwdriver? What does this have to do with the case?
Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... Ah! I was asked to go, by Chief Gant no less. He told me he wanted to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean I... The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car.
Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Yes, unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye.
Order, order, order. What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations?
Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It's a photo of the body being taken from the trunk.
Chief Gant, please say something.
I believe... Your time's up.
My time's up.
Sorry, Wrighto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now.
What? This is not a right to be casually invoked. Well, there are certain risks to be considered.
So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you have any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, you think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusation against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright,
Your Honor,
do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of the body?
Do I have any concrete proof? No. I don't believe we currently have hard proof of this. Is there any evidence in here? I don't believe so. I believe I have no proof yet. It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence. CRG?
In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegation against the chief.
What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Aji, I'll leave the rest to you.
I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her.
Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean?
There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. In absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions. Raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room.
Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person?
Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today.
Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist?
She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor, the defense calls forth Lana Skye.
The defendant? Miss Lana Skye?
She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task, to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor.
Very well, the court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in recess.
Hold on.
Huh?
Chief Gant,
I thought you were going to eat.
listen good, Lana. Your Honor, he is about to threaten the defendant. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. Your Honor, the witness continues to threaten people. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. This isn't good. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. All right, then. I've got a lunch date to meet.
Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess.
Your Honor, the witness threatened like 4 people. Looks like we've managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. Chief, he's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. I'm not a detective anymore. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry, I've already decided where to work now. At your office. My office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. I'll be honest with you, I feel like the series might have been massively improved if Gumshoe was our sidekick for the rest of the series. Could he mean Maya? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How does he always get the upper hand? It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said?
But Chief, there's a certain risk.
Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery, so she's heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny, I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah, now I finally know what really happened. I don't think so. It just seems so unlikely the game's gonna go, oh yeah, Emma's actually killed someone. My sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside, to force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Murder is not accurate description of what happened, and I still suspect that you didn't do it, but don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. He's right. I don't know why we're blaming society, really, but he's right. Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Well, we better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Let's go. Damn, that was a short one. For only 45 minutes? given the length of time everything else has taken so far.
Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand?
Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You all know that what I've done these past 2 years.
Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth.
Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister.
Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant.
Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma.
Are you sure about this testimony?
Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure.
But Lana, if this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this.
That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth?
Don't give up now, you pussy.
She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself.
The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Alright, let's just get to work. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years.
Detective Gant and Detective Skye were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases.
She must have been good coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective, that's why. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And... did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him.
Lana, so that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago.
You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? The prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that's so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me.
So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to.
Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. Okay. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound?
And then you move the body.
But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of others. Why did you plant the knife? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out.
Let's add this to the witness's testimony. The reason Miss Skye fabricated the knife.
I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in the wound would be all the proof we needed. This is not...
fucking cats.
This is not... fucking cats, goddammit. This is not actually the thing. It's why she moved the body. Now that I think about it, because there should logically be no reason to move the body to the other side of the room. When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was near where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple.
Let's have the witness explain this in more detail.
The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar? You mean... Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you look at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Fucking cats. Neil Marshall was dead, and Dark was laying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have broken during their struggle.
I see.
What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. But I have a feeling there's more to it than that. There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Why? The pieces of the jar threatened my plan. Of course, the problem is that Emma's name was written on the jar. If it broke during the struggle, it wouldn't have Emma written on it. Emma has to have been written on it before it was broken. Why would he have done that? Right? That's because he didn't write Emma on it after it was broken. So if it broke during the struggle, he couldn't have... So that means this has to have been written on the jar before the struggle? Or before it was broken? Yes. Anyway, I think it's that. Miss Skye, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister.
You mean the forgery at the scene when Neil Marshall was murdered?
If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right.
Do you have a problem with that?
It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar.
Order, order.
Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are. about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth.
Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony.
I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood?
I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence.
Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Well, the problem is that you didn't get all the pieces of the jar. Like, you're sure you got them all, and that may well be the case, but you didn't. One of the pieces was in Gant's desk, or in Gant's safe, rather. So I present this, right? Found in Gant's safe. You didn't find them all. Miss Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found... Emma definitely didn't do it. What we've now discovered is Lana thought she got all the pieces of the jar. She didn't, but she thought she did. So that must mean Gant took it earlier. We found the final piece of this jar in Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it.
But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off them.
Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you did.
But couldn't the defendant simply have missed a piece?
I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are far too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective.
That may well be, but everyone makes mistake. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha! Can you believe that?
Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Oh, that.
There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness.
I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time he was looking for Dark Dan.
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that?
No.
I like how he doesn't have a freak-out sprite, so they just had to do him shaking his head.
Wait, I'm not the one on trial here.
Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar, and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence.
But why would Chief Gant do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear?
What happened afterwards?
Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the chief's puppet. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
Wait a minute. What if... We're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap.
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright?
Lana may be right after all. What do you mean, right? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright. Miss Skye, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
All right, the witness may testify once more for the final time.
When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor's sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it was really all a fabrication, Emma might be innocent.
Unbelievable. The body was impaled on that armor's sword.
You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you.
Please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. There must be a picture in there somewhere. What the fuck are you talking about? This morning? This? When did we get this? The only thing I remember being given by Lana was this book of evidence law? Oh, hold on. Hold on. There's something poking. There's a little poking. Just examine the book. Oh. You had this? There's a picture here. Oh. Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this. Because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I rearranged everything. A piece cut out from his vest. Could that be? Can I just look at the picture without that in the way? My immediate thought is always just, is there something weird in here that doesn't immediately pop out, but I can't see anything. The cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. What's this? This is Emma's handprint, isn't it? Yeah. That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whoever those fingerprints are must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. As long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flesh out the real murderer. Well, the thing is that her fingerprints on that don't mean anything. She was unconscious in the room at the time. So Gant could have just grabbed her hand, pressed it on the cloth, and there you go. When I arrived, I found Gant's whoa. Come now, Udgy! This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen.
Chief Gant.
What, now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. You've already forfeited this right. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back and relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Ah. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence.
Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence?
No, I don't, but someone does.
Someone?
So, what's your excuse, Wrighto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt.
Is this true, Mr. Wright?
If I show that piece of evidence now, M is sure to be made out as the murderer.
Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries.
What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? Let me think about that. Can I look at the picture again? Do I want... Wait. Why is there no blood on this piece? Is this just a sprite thing? There should be blood on this cloth. There's blood all over that, but there's no blood on the cloth. There's blood over the rest of his jacket. Why is there no blood on this? Then that means the cloth has to have been cut off before there was any blood on him. I think I don't present the evidence. This is why I was given the book earlier. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. This is how we get him, isn't it? There's currently, by Gant's own logic, there would be no reason to assume this is linked to the crime. There's no blood on it. This could just be a random strip of cloth that materialized in his safe one day. And if he tries to blame me for it later, I can use Rule 2. Because this has been presented to me, it must be important for something. This is unregistered evidence that is currently not clearly linked to what's happening. It's just a piece of cloth with Emmer's fingerprints on it. There's no blood on it. Which also means it has to have been cut off before he got impaled. No. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie!
Chief Gant?
You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area?
It looks like part of it's been cut off for some reason.
You mean you had this? In your safe?
What? That means you, the Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean you admit to it?
I was the first person to arrive at the scene of the crime that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her. I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister. That when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Skye. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I had hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence. You mean those items in your safe?
But why?
For insurance. Of course. Insurance. I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for? A fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off of all of the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on the jar too? Ho ho ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come now, Righto, cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant? That you were hiding the cloth you cut off in the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Now I present the cloth? Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now.
All right then, let's see this conclusive evidence.
Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes, at last you finally brought it out into the open.
There's a handprint on this piece of cloth.
Your Honor, the prosecution requests that immediately be sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean?
It cannot have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Ho ho ho, you're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all the time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belongs must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom this fingerprint belongs to is Emma.
Emma? Emma Skye?
What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh! You are really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me.
So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
How could you? You monster.
Miss Skye.
You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Skye, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest is cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth... Wait. There's no blood on it.
Ah! Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. No! It's finally all over. Of course not. Oh my god. Oh, that was close, right? So you almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations.
What do you mean you refute his allegations?
You see, this piece of cloth is illegal evidence.
Order, order. What nonsense is this?
Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji. Earlier, old Raito here concealed that piece of cloth.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence.
At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Ho 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 ho. Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. Chief Gant. But... Hold on. Hold on. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I'd say Gant gave us permission to show that evidence.
I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright?
It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived.
Mr. Wright, do you admit it? That you purposefully concealed this piece of cloth?
Which do I say? I did conceal it, but I don't think it's illegal evidence. Purposefully and illegally, I did not. I admit it, I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal! No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then, it's that I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't?
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Aji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward you can't really believe. There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not?
Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present the evidence.
I present the book? This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth. Nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. I'm so fucking smart. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. I'm so fucking smart. What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take a look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall, when was that picture presented?
That was shown only a few moments ago.
No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. You verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes. No. It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut from this victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you. Oh my god. Oh, he's really going for it. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. And then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There's too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm gonna hand all of this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was nervous too. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how could you get Miss Skye involved in all this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments in the glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me. We're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be, long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you're no longer that person.
Those days are gone now, Udgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Raito here, and Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered.
I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job.
In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky.
Yes, Your Honor?
You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains.
Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky,
not guilty.
We did it. We saved the city.
That is all. Court is adjourned.
At long last, it's finally over. There are still 2 more games. Emma. And then there's the next trilogy, eventually. Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit? No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended. I can see why Mia Thay felt so highly of you. I owe you my thanks. And to you too. Yeah, You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
Guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right, I thought you'd like to see someone. Lana, should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Big ups to my man Gumshoe for being a real one. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago. was the first time in my life I ever panicked. I don't believe that. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you're only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis, I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe.
Me?
Thank you both for all you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth?
Edgeworth?
Stop hiding and come over here. He's just behind the fucking plant in the corner. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Right. Well, I'll be going now.
Harry, what the fuck are you doing over there, dude? Harry, get down, you stupid idiot. Don't. Okay, cat was climbing on something. I really didn't want to have to go all the way over there. He stopped. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realized today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth, not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and I were the same. Stop standing on the keyboard. Yeah.
You and me, we aren't so different after all.
I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma. We're both the best at the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright, and because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Me? Well, yeah, what is this? Pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Evidence law? That might mean something to you, but I don't see how it had anything to do with our partnership. Huh? It seems you still have a lot to learn as well. I guess that wasn't the right piece of evidence. My reckoning was that, like, they sort of tag-teamed him at the end with that. What the fuck was I meant to present then? That was like the big moment where they both sort of tagged in with each other during the big gotcha moment. What the fuck was I supposed to present then? That they wouldn't have found on their own? I don't know. Yeah, that was my maybe the piece of cloth. Yeah, I don't know, man. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Well, now I feel bad and stupid. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can't let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can't let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you, fucking cats, dude. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation. It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. Lana's going to jail. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison have a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard and able to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Big ups to my man Gumshoe for being a real one. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one who will be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What do you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream. Yeah, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Yeah, we did it. We got them all. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then, I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Where are the others? Come on, get it out. Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalized you any more, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. What a guy. Come on, where are the others?
My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm going to make detective. Yes, sir, then I'll be just like that Dick Gumshoe.
Yeah, what a legend. Is the Blue Badger gonna give us a monologue? No, we're just gonna... Oh no! What a disaster! He didn't survive. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Starr managed to sneak this in for me. She's seen one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? He's so cringe, though. That guy? Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. Ben Judd.
I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's doing something or other for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I better be... Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go.
Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick. Yep, we're definitely still in LA, as you can see by that very Los Angeles background. We'll be going there in the next game. Mr. Edgeworth.
Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, I bought you your tea. What's going on?
Good talk, that one deserved to be in there, yep. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Yeah, achievement. Doesn't have a funny name, it's just the name of the case. Excellent. Time for the next one.